Hi guys, this is a short induction video to help you use the equipment here in the gym safely and effectively. There's a gym etiquette poster on the wall which details the kind of things you need to consider whilst you're in here, the essence of which revolves around being considerate to the other gym users. Two key things from that include wiping down the equipment after you've used it and not leaving anything on the floor that other gym users might trip over, and generally leaving the gym in the sort of condition you'd hope to find it in when you arrived. Okay, so I'm now going to take you through the equipment in here and how to use it. Okay, so standard exercise bike. First thing you need to adjust is the saddle height, and to check that it's correct, you first sit on it and you're checking the angle at the knee. That needs to be just a very slight angle. So the angle at the knee here is too great and therefore the saddle's too low. So you jump back off and adjust it with a little lever underneath, pull that up and it slides up. You then jump back on and you should have just a slight bend at the knee like that. So that's the perfect seat height. Begin pedaling very gently and the display will light up for you. Push quick start and the clock starts up from 0, so you can cycle for as long or as short a time as you would wish. And the only thing you would really adjust on here is the resistance on the front wheel, and you do that with the plus and minus, obviously, to slow it back down or to decrease the resistance. And then you hold on in an upright position, or you can hold down in a more sort of laid down Tour de France style position like this, and then off you go. So treadmill, first thing you need to do, obviously jump on and then attach the safety clip. Make sure that's securely fastened to your clothing. The idea being that if you were to fall off, it cuts the power to the belt and stops it instantly so you won't hurt yourself. Then press quick start. Gives you a little countdown and then the belt will slowly begin moving. Once you're underway, there's a plus and minus to increase your speed. So obviously push plus and that speeds you up. And then obviously to slow yourself down, there's a little minus. Or to stop completely, you would obviously push the stop button. Once you're underway, you can also walk or run up a hill, and there's a couple of arrows for that as well. So obviously the up arrow gives you a bit more gradient, so you walk uphill, and back down lowers it so you're back on the flat. Once you've finished, you would obviously push stop and the belt would slow you down very gradually. If during the course of your kind of run or what have you, you hurt yourself and you can't get to the stop button, you can always grab the safety arms and straddle the belt. And then obviously you're in a nice stable position. You can push stop and the belt will stop. Okay, so cross trainer. Slightly different this one. When you do tread on it, it will start moving. So just be slightly aware of that. When you put your feet on, the machine will start. So get your feet in properly and then you kind of skate along. As soon as you start moving, the display will light up and you just push quick start and it counts you up again from 0, so you can go for whatever duration you would like. Two ways to make it more difficult for yourselves. Increase the resistance on the front wheel with the plus and minus over here on the right of the display. So push the plus and it makes it much harder to skate along, and obviously the minus a bit easier. The other thing this one does is give you a ramp to kind of ski up. So push the up arrow and the whole front of the machine lifts up and makes it much more difficult. Slightly larger strides, and obviously another way to make your session a bit more challenging. Back down with the down arrow. Last thing on here, the handles do have the silver heart rate strips on them, so whilst you are holding on, it will give you your heart rate reading on the display. Okay, so rowing machine. Really good one, this one, Concept 2, and one thing to adjust in terms of resistance, and that's the fan on the front. So at the moment that's set on 10, which would be particularly difficult. To simulate outdoor rowing, you would have it adjusted down to about 6.5. Next thing you do is fasten your feet. Obviously they've got to be securely strapped in. Make sure they're in the correct position initially. Pop your foot in, and this strap should go across the end of your laces. So actually, I need to adjust that a little bit. To adjust it, you pull the clip forward and slide it up. So about level 4 or so for me. Foot in, and now the strap goes across the end of my laces, and you tighten it up. And then your feet should be in nice and securely. Same on the other one. And then you're ready to take hold of the bar. Now to row and grip the bar properly, you don't have the bar in your fists, you have it in the end of your fingers, so a bit of a claw type grip like that. Like so. And then rowing technique, or sort of basic rowing technique, drive with your legs, pull with your arms, back with your arms, back with your legs. Legs, arms, arms, legs, and a nice flat back. So you don't want to be too sort of curled over or anything when you're rowing. The display in front of you will light up as soon as you begin to row, and you're really mostly concerned with the top number, which is the time, and that will count up from 0. And the one below it is your rate, and that gives you a rate for how fast you would row 500 meters. So the quicker that time is, so the faster you would row 500 meters. And then you just carry on rowing and stop when you're ready. Okay, so cable machine. There are lots of different exercises you can choose to do on here. There are some examples on the actual machine on posters. Whichever one you do choose to try out, make sure you are familiar with it before you get started. There's various different things to adjust. The first most important one is the weight stack, and you adjust those with the pins so it pulls out and slots in. As you can see, I've moved it up to a very light weight, so it's always a good idea to start with a light weight initially. If you're using both handles, obviously make sure the weight stacks are on exactly the same weight. You don't want to be pulling really heavy with one and much lighter with the other or anything. The other thing you can adjust on here are the sliders, and the whole slider kind of housing moves up and down. So you pull a little lever out and that will slide down and click in. Make sure it is clicked in. It gives you a nice number as well, so you can make sure that corresponds on both sides if you're doing something that requires both handles. There are various different kind of attachments. This is obviously like a single hand grip. There's some on a sort of a peg there in the middle. To change them, push that in and that will unclip, and you would clip it back in, obviously make sure it's securely fastened, and then carry on with whichever exercise you've chosen. Thanks for watching. I hope you found it useful. If you do have any further questions or require any information, please speak to your accommodation manager.